And now we are officially live, and we just we wait for people to show up.
Yeah, you might hear my daughter in the background at times.
Ah, that's all right. She can be the other special guest.
Well, she probably will be.
All right. Well, we officially have one person watching, so let's get this underway. What's up, guys? NDSean45 here. It has been a long ass time since I did a live stream here on my own channel. Um, Basically, all my other live streams and whatnot have been over with my buddy Ben at the Two Irish Brothers. Um, so I just thought I'd get on here and have a little fun on here for a change, which hasn't shit. I can't remember the last time I had a live stream on here, but I have a special guest joining me. So without further ado, please welcome the one, the only Magnum. What's up, dude?
Oh shit, you talking about? It's been a long time since you've done anything on your live stream. It's been a long ass time since I've been on one of these. Period. Talking.
Well, I can definitely tell you, all of us in the old TTC or yeah, the TTC. I couldn't believe I forgot that. The old TTC definitely missed seeing you on here.
Yeah, but those days of me acting a fool, fucking pulling swords and throwing ninja stars and shit. Yeah, those days are gone, man. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't bring that intensity I used to. We all get older, and I've just really mellowed the hell out, honestly.
Yeah. Well, and of course, when you're married and you have a daughter, that definitely changes a lot of things.
Oh hell yeah, it does. Shit, ever since I got well, actually, even before I got married, dude, it's like I really didn't do much of the TTC. Just even before I got married, I kind of called it quits well before then. But yeah, definitely ever since I got married and had my daughter, yeah, I've just definitely been chilling, just working and living life. Pretty much, that's about it.
Well, I don't think even though you haven't been on here for a while, I don't think anybody's forgotten all those videos you used to do of going nuts, and you definitely have a passion, that's for sure.
Oh hell yeah! I wish I still had a lot of those original videos I did because those were, in my opinion, the best. Like the very like probably the first two seasons we did. I mean, I feel like those were really my best videos. I mean, I did good ones after that, but those first two seasons, honestly, nothing really beats that, dude. The hate weeks we had during those days, that shit was fucking great.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's like I think the first video I saw of yours was the one that you just mentioned, all the video with the weapons, the sword and the ninja stars. That was the first one I ever saw of you back in the day, and I'm like, "Holy crap, this guy's intense, but he's awesome."
Yeah, of course. I think it was Bill for Vols that gave that video the name, the Lethal Weapon video. And ever since then, that's what that video was always referred to as. But that was good times. And Bill did his own little response to that. I remember that shit. He put like a black shirt over his head, made it look like a ninja, and he started pulling out fucking like those pizza cutters and butter knives and shit.
Yeah. Oh, it was great. It was hilarious. It was funny, but it was intense at the same time. They're just oh, it was awesome, man. And but hey, those memories will always live on, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, man. Those were the good old days, and it's crazy to think, dude. We started that shit in 2009, and here it is, 2021, fucking 12 years later. That's crazy, dude. It just seems like yesterday everybody was doing that.
Yeah, I know. I know it, I can't believe it's really been that long. Um, but one thing I want to ask before we go any further, I know you're kind of new to using StreamYard and all that, but can you see any comments popping up on your phone?
And, I have this little button down here that I could probably click and see it. Hold on. Um, Okay, now I see it. Now I see it. I just had to hit the little chat icon, and then I could see it.
Okay, cool. Because Dwayne Roll Tide Roll, I don't know if you're familiar with him. He says to you, long time Magnum, no C.
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember Dwayne. He was one of my regular commenters on my videos back in the day.
Okay, and then a gentleman, Mark Kramer. Actually, I guess this is a question for me. He wants to know, so whatever became of the challenge you gave to the idiot Uncle Lou? Very simple. Very simple. He pussed out. He just did what he's always good at, running his mouth and hiding behind his camera and his microphone. He won't. I unblocked him from here on this channel, and he didn't even have the guts to just come and give me a simple yes or no answer. So what does that say right there? But anyway, yeah, what a lot of people don't realize, Magnum, is if that fight did happen, you were actually going to be one of my corner guys.
Yeah, and I don't know if you told anybody yet, but probably this last week I was sending Sean like different training videos, and he was doing videos of his workout and then sending it to me, and then I was critiquing it, told him where he could make his corrections, that kind of thing. So yeah, I've been working with Sean a little bit as far as that goes.
And actually, what a lot of people don't realize about you, dude, is you actually have a little bit of a background in boxing. You used to do amateur fights, correct?
Yes, many moons ago, I did 7 years in the amateur circuit, and God, dude, that was way back in the day, man. That was a long ass time ago, but you know, those were good memories, and yeah, I definitely I couldn't do that again, even if I wanted to. You know, I'm 40 years old now, so those days are gone.
Oh, you can't say that. Hey, George Foreman at age 45 won the heavyweight title.
Yes,
You
but
never say never.
he was also a professional. I wasn't. I was just in the amateurs.
Oh, that's true. That's true. And also a guy like George Foreman, I mean, he was a level above the normal human being, that's for sure.
Well, that's true. That is true.
But yeah, no, that's exactly what it was. Is I was that's true. I was sending Magnum videos of workouts, and he was critiquing it. And to be honest with you, you know, since this whole situation got brought up, but hey, this is my channel. Anything goes. I'm not on the Two Irish Brothers, so we can say whatever the hell we want to say. It wouldn't. I don't think it would have been hard to beat his ass. Honestly, you know, a gimp's to beat a gimp's ass, it's simple as hell. And plus, as you told me, there's definitely a weight advantage. So the only way he would have had a chance to
Well,
even
not just weight, but you got the height on him as well. It's like when you know the old saying, you know, let's look at the tail of the tape. Like you have the reach, you have the height, you have the weight. Like all of the physical categories fall in your favor.
that's true. And it's not trying to be cocky, just stats don't lie, numbers don't lie. But but of course, I'm not really surprised at any of that because you know I even told you myself that we knew that. And by the way, Mike Peterman says that just proves that Uncle Lou is a sissy. But like I was saying, we knew that he wouldn't say yes. I mean, you know, you got to have balls to actually say yes to that. And of course, we know why he won't give a straight answer. If he says no, then of course he you know, a lot of his audience will think that he's a pussy. But if he says yes and agrees to it, he knows he's going to get his ass beat. So, but anyway, I wanted to talk a little football with you. So we have now reached another spring practice for all of our respected teams. And I got to ask you, dude. You know, I talk a lot about the Irish, of course, which we will. But how are you feeling about the Bulldogs so far? About 3 or 4 days into spring practice.
Well, one thing is for fucking sure. Some things never fucking change. You know, every fucking year we seem to have a major injury, whether it be fall camp, spring practice, whatever. We always have a major injury. And sure enough, I mean, I was holding my breath hoping that we wouldn't have one this year, but fuck no. George Pickens ends up tearing his ACL last week, and he's pretty much done for the season. The only way he's going to really get to play is if we end up going to Atlanta. He may be able to come back for the last game of the season. I don't fucking know. But definitely he's out for the majority of the year, if not all the year. I mean, honestly, I don't see him playing at all, really, unless we somehow make a deep run, maybe end up going to the playoffs, and maybe he would come back for that. But other than that, dude, honestly, I don't see him playing. And we also got another scare a couple days ago, dude. Like fucking Jermaine Burton had a knee injury in practice, and he had to get carted off the field. Well, good news there. He only hyperextended his knee. I mean, that could have been really fucked up because that could have been two really good receivers that we were down. But luckily, it wasn't nothing serious on that. But dude, what the fuck are we doing? What are we doing out there? You know, this early. I mean, are we making these guys go 100%? I mean, something's got to change, dude. Like these injuries during the spring are getting out of control, and they're major injuries, like key players.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's honestly a good question. I don't know. You'd have to take a look at what their practice routine is like, and another place to look is the strength and conditioning coordinator. Because I remember we were in the same situation a few years ago, and it seemed like a lot of top guys were just dropping left and right due to injury and out for the season. And it just makes you wonder, like, is the strength and conditioning coach doing his job, or is it just, which of course freak accidents do happen, but that many in a short period of time, I'd be asking the same question that you are.
Well, I mean, the way I'm looking at it, dude, it's like, these guys really haven't done much, in the last several months. And I'm just wondering, I mean, are we making these guys go out there, go full speed right from the get-go? Like, I just think if that's the case, I just think that is a terrible idea, dude. Like, you've been inactive for the last several months, and all of a sudden you're going to go out on the field and make these hard cuts and do all this shit. Like, I mean, I think you should ease these guys into it. I mean, I don't know. I'm not there at the practices, so I'm not sure what the fuck is going on. But obviously, something's got to change, man. Because yes, we do have decent depth at the wide receiver position, but I'm a realist. I mean, George Pickens is a huge ass loss. I mean, your number one receiver is your number one receiver for a fucking reason.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just, it doesn't take a genius to figure that out. I mean, when you're in spring practice, you can't start off going 100% because it doesn't matter how great of an athlete you are. Even the best athletes out there, they have to have like a warm-up period just to get used to their routine all over again, because when you've been resting for, about 2 or 3 months, you have to.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think going 100% right from the get-go is just a very bad idea. I mean, I saw some memes over this last week on Facebook, and they're pretty funny, though, if you think about it. It makes sense. One guy on my Facebook, he was like, man, maybe the dog should start wearing these. And it was a picture of that little kid wrapped in bubble wrap from the movie Little Giants.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. The nerdy kid with the glasses.
Yeah,
I remember that. He's like, my mom said the pads you gave me were not enough.
Well, at this point, maybe we should start wearing some of that shit, dude. Because I mean, are we even going to have enough receivers by the fucking time the season starts? I mean, damn, we gotta change something up. I mean, we're just really lucky that Jermaine Burton only hyperextended his knee. He's only going to miss the remainder of spring, but to me, that's still pretty big. I mean, that's a lot of, practice time that he's gonna miss. He could have gotten the damn spring game, dude, but now he's gonna miss even that. So
Yeah, that's a lot of significant contact and what's the word I'm looking for? Just extra experience to get. So yeah, I mean you're absolutely right. Dwayne Roll Tide Roll has a comment and a question, or well, actually, yeah, a couple of comments. The first one he says is Lou would have used the rope-a-dope.
Oh, the rope-a-dope.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think Lou would be skilled enough to pull that off. I mean, Ali's basically the only one that could do that and get away with it. And I seriously do not see Lou having that fucking capability.
No. I don't think that guy's ever been in a fight in his life or even had the experience to even figure that out. I've probably had more fights than he has, and that's not many. But then in regards to Georgia, which I don't know how you feel about an Alabama fan commenting on the Bulldogs, but can you see this across your screen?
Yeah, I can see that now. Hold on, let me see. Dogs' offense is stepping up, but their talented defense will have to adjust to play the pass better. Well, the problem is going to be, as far as the pass is concerned, I'm a little concerned about that because we did lose a lot of defensive backs this past season, and we lost Richard LeCount. That's a huge ass loss. We lost Eric Stokes. That's a big ass loss. So it's like, arguably your best corner and your best safety are gone. Those two by themselves, that's huge. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe we could improve for all I know. I don't know, but that's a lot of experience, dude. You just can't you can't replace experience, man. Losing leadership like that in the secondary, that's fucking huge. Honestly, I think we're going to have to generate a ton of fucking pressure on the quarterbacks. We're going to have to take some pressure off of that secondary this year. That's just what I see. I mean, like I said, I could be wrong, but I think our front seven is going to have to take pressure off our secondary this year.
And what's up to my buddy Eric? How you doing, man? Another comment from Dwayne Roll Tide Roll was Kirby's philosophy is to stop the run. Modern day football is pass, pass, pass.
Well, I mean, I don't know about stop the run. I mean, he's done really good in recent years as far as getting talent back there in the secondary. I mean, Richard LeCount was a fucking beast. I think this past year, I think it was general consensus that he was the best safety in the SEC. Eric Stokes, of course, Eric Stokes had some big shoes to fill anyway. When DeAndre Baker left us and he went to the NFL, Eric Stokes had some huge shoes to fill, and he did a pretty good job. I mean, he actually, I mean, he wasn't terrible. He wasn't as good as DeAndre, but I mean, he was still pretty good. So Kirby's done a pretty good job of getting some talent back there. Hell, we've been a beast against the run. I will say that. I mean, yeah, Kirby, that's his area of expertise. But I mean, he hasn't neglected the pass defense. I'm not going to sit here and say that.
Yeah, well, so in other words, you're not like a lot of Notre Dame fans out there and want your head coach fired.
Oh fuck no! Anybody who wants Kirby fired is out of their fucking mind. A goddamn lunatic. Like, what the fuck is wrong with them?
Well, and of course, that's me just taking a shot at us because our fan base. I mean, they all want Brian Kelly to be fired, and it just never ceases to amaze me. I mean, look, I get it, and you even told me this once a long time ago, Magnum, that college football is a what have you done for me lately kind of sport, and that's very true, very true. I agree with that. But you mean to tell me that you really want to fire your head coach after he's led you to 4 consecutive 10 plus win seasons, which is something that not even Newt Rockne did, has gotten you to the playoffs and or national championship game? That'd be 1, 2, 3 times. and all three times you had an undefeated season. So he's taken basically. This is a guy in Brian Kelly who has taken us to places that we haven't been to since Lou Holtz, and I'd say like half of our fan base wants him fired. I mean, if that any other school, I mean, that's just asinine. What's your take on something like that?
Well, here's the way I look at it. There comes a point where you know it's time to make a change. And that's the way I felt with Mark Richt. You know, I was a huge supporter of his for a long time. And then there just comes a point to where, you know, shit's not working. And then you know it's time to make a change. But in no way, shape, or form are we in that area with Kirby. Fuck no. Like Kirby's been killing it on the recruiting trail. He's getting us top 3 classes every fucking year. A couple years ago, we even got the number 1 class. Like you said, we've been to the playoffs. He's took us to a national title game. He's won the East. I think 3 times. Yeah, I think 3 times. I just got up from a nap a while ago, so my brain ain't operating correctly. But I do believe it's 3 times. But I mean, the thing is, it's like he hasn't been fucking terrible. If you're in the conversation for the playoffs every year, and only 4 teams can make the fucking playoffs. If you have ESPN or Fox or whatever it may be, if you're always in the discussion of possibly being a playoff contender, you're doing something right.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, and I'm going to ask you this question, which it's kind of a rhetorical question, but I'm going to ask it anyway, because I asked when I was on Big Vol Daddy's stream not too long ago. I was on with him and D4 Sports. Oh, that's cool, Mark. Thanks for showing up. But I asked them the same question. If your team made the playoffs, would you be upset about it? So I'm going to ask you that same question. Would you be upset about your team actually making the playoffs, regardless of who your opponent is?
Why in the fuck would anybody be upset if their team makes the playoffs? That makes no sense.
You should have seen us. I mean, half of our fan base when we got selected for the playoffs this past season at that number 4 spot, and so half of our fan base completely just gave up on the team. Just completely gave up all because we were playing Alabama. And I'm thinking, like, what the hell kind of fans are you? I mean, there's a video out there, and I think it made the rounds pretty well. I think it was a pretty well viewed video. It's of a woman watching the playoff selection show, and as soon as Notre Dame is announced as the number 4 team, she's just like pouting and huffing and puffing and all upset. And I'm like, and of course I had to hear that from so-called fellow Notre Dame fans. They were just like, we're going to get our asses kicked, this, that, whatever. We don't stand a chance. And I'm like, you call yourselves fans? Why even follow this team then if you're just going to give up on them before anything even happens?
And I can understand that with like if you're an actual fan, yeah, Notre Dame, any Notre Dame fan that would be upset for going to the playoffs is an absolute idiot. Now, from an outsider's perspective, looking in, I mean, I think I talked to you about this like after Notre Dame had lost or whatever. I think so, but from an outsider's point of view, it's like when we saw Notre Dame get selected, it was, oh my God, here we go again. It's like Notre Dame has just built this track record of getting to the playoffs and getting absolutely destroyed. So from our point of view, it was like, oh my God, same shit, different year. That's the way we were looking at it. Now, if I'm a Notre Dame fan, of course I want to be there. So, I mean, from a fan's perspective, I get it. But from outsider's perspective, it's like, oh, fuck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I told you the same thing when you originally told me that. That's fair. I mean, if you're not a fan, then yeah, I get that. You know, you're expecting them to fall flat on their face, and also it's, you know, with our recent title game / playoff record, it has not been good. 2 blowouts, and then a game against Alabama in the Rose Bowl that was a lot better than what it had been. But it was still, a 17-point loss. I mean, there's no denying that. But it's like, this is the thing is, this is your team. This is your team. You follow your team, you back them up, and you don't just quit on them just because the opponent is extremely ridiculously tough, like what Alabama has been recently. I'm like, I've never seen any other fan base get disappointed about making the playoffs, making the postseason.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I will never understand disappointment in making the college football playoff. There's only 4 teams as of right now. Of course, there's only 4 teams that go, and if you're one of the 4 teams that get selected, be happy. I mean, fuck, you never know shit. I mean, underdogs win games all the fucking time. Anything can happen. For all you know, you could get on this high ass run and boom, go win the title game. You never fucking know. That's
the way that I've always lived on it is, okay, there's no excuse, there's no doubt about it. Our opponent was a tough one. And I think tough is an understatement. But
Dwayne just asked me, he says, Magnum, any thoughts on the UGA opener versus Clemson? Yeah. I still, even though Clemson is losing Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne, I still think it's going to be a good football game. I haven't really heard too much about I can't even pronounce this guy's name. The backup that Clemson had.
Yeah, I couldn't either at first. It's DJ Uyungale.
Yeah, I'm not even going to attempt to say that, but I've heard good things about him. I haven't watched him yet, so I haven't seen him in person, but I've heard really good things about him. So, I mean, with it being Georgia and Clemson, to me, it's still going to be a very good football game. I don't see a blowout either way. It's the first game of the year, dude. I mean, of course, anything could happen in football games. I just said that. But with it being UGA and Clemson, 2 big-time programs, there's going to be so much hype surrounding this game. I think both teams are going to come out and give it 100% right off the bat. And, of course, I'm not going to be talking about it, but, fucking ESPN and the talking heads are going to be talking about it. The winner of this game might just go on to go to the playoffs and play in the national title game. To me, it's way too early to be talking about that shit. I don't care who wins. If Georgia could win 100-0, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, there it is. We're going to the national title game. No, that's stupid. I mean, we got a ton of football left. But regardless, it's going to be a hell of a game, and there's not going to be any blowouts. That's just the way I see it.
Well, I can tell you one thing with that DJ Uyungale. I mean, when we played Clemson last year, I mean, that was a game where Trevor Lawrence was out. So even though we did win, nobody really gave us any legit credit for that. But still, though, that Uyungale, even though he was a backup, I think he passed for like close to 450 yards on us. So the kid can sling it. He's he's good. So I think Clemson's still going to be just fine at that quarterback spot. Safe to say. But anyway, one comment I wanted to get to before my buddy Syracuse and Buffalo Sports, he said Deshaun Watson getting investigated by police. Wow, don't know if he's guilty or not. It seems fishy. Yeah, I heard about that too, and I know there was the those rumors of, I'm obviously Magnum, I'm a Bears fan. There was the rumors of the Bears trying to go after Watson, really make a big splash and trade for him. And if this stuff was going on, I almost wonder if that put a halt on it. But what exactly? So what he's being investigated of what, sexual assault?
Man, yeah, that sexual misconduct or some shit. I've read so many different articles on that shit, dude, and there's like fucking 20 different women that's come forward, and of course there hasn't been any evidence that's been presented yet. It's all pretty much hearsay. Honestly, I think the timing of it is extremely suspicious. Like, where was this shit last year? Like, if this shit had been going on in the past, why hasn't one of those women come forward yet? Like, all of a sudden, 20 women like come forward and been like, oh my god, like, get the dude, I can't buy that, dude. I maybe he, Deshaun Watson, maybe he was a fucking uh, sex addict. I don't know, but I don't see a crime being committed here. That's my problem. Maybe he was a fucking sex addict. Maybe he did do all this with 20 women. But you know what? Obvious it was consensual because nobody has said shit until now.
Yeah, and myself, I try to look at it from both perspectives. I mean, obviously he's an look. I can't say that he's guilty or not guilty. He could very easily be guilty of doing this, but at the same time, you can't ignore the fact that he's an easy target. He's a star quarterback in the NFL. So it's not hard for someone to come forward and say, hey, this superstar did this for me or did this to me. Basically they're wanting a payday. Because even though
I just think the timing of it is extremely suspect because
that's my point.
We all know, Deshaun Watson, he was wanting out of Houston. And all of a sudden, this comes up. Boy, I tell you what, that'll put a halt to trade talks real quick. Like,
yeah,
I mean, it was pretty apparent Houston didn't want to let him go. They were pretty firm on keeping him. And then these teams start. You started hearing different teams come out wanting to talk to Watson, like you said. Chicago being interested. I mean, and then all of a sudden this comes out. And all of that talk goes away. I just find this very fucking suspect, man. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, could the Houston front office be behind this? Could it be legit? Who knows? But I think what I think is really sad too is and we see this a lot. The fact that he's a professional athlete. Everyone always assumes that he's automatically guilty because of that fact alone. That's the kind of stuff I hate seeing.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we see everything on Facebook, and of course, especially when it comes to athletes nowadays, you've always got those people that like to bring race into it.
Yeah.
You remember, like right after like this started coming out, people were saying, well, how come Deshaun Watson is getting crucified, but all of a sudden Chad Wheeler, he's not getting any attention? I'm like, what? Wait, Chad Wheeler is kicked out of the NFL. He's not even part of the fucking league anymore. What do you mean? They done booted that motherfucker out. Like, I'm just getting sorry.
It's all good.
I just get tired of seeing the fuckery go on. That's why I've removed myself from a lot of different sports groups on Facebook, man, because these kids today and even some young adults, man, I just can't with these motherfuckers, man. I can't.
Oh, if you think it's bad now, wait till Generation X grows up. Ugh. It's gonna get bad. Yeah. Where was it at? Yeah, Syracuse and Buffalo Sports said, the one who asked the question, he said if he's not guilty, then what a complete farce. Yeah, I agree completely.
But yeah, that exactly. Like, why has no evidence has been presented yet? Like 20 fucking women, and not one shred of evidence has been produced. Like, I mean, yeah, that is extremely suspect. The timing is suspect. Everything about this just does not sit right with me at all.
Well, on Syracuse and Buffalo Sports also said getting him suspended. If we can't have him, no one can. That has the potential to be absolutely true here. Absolutely true. But of course, we can't prove that. Oh, and by the way, Cowboys Longhorns 6371. Great to see you, dude. Wasn't ignoring you. I'm just trying to catch up with everything here in the comments. And not to change the subject here, Magnum, but comments and accounts like this guy here, this Tommy Vandal. This is the kind of crap that I get all the time. And people say, "Oh, you think every comment is Lou, Sean? You think every comment is Lou?" I don't think every comment like this and every a troll account is him. but it's very suspicious. That's what I tried to tell people about that, and in one ear and out the other. But this is that's the kind of crap that I get, and it's just when accounts like that show up, you can't help but be suspicious with the track record of that asshole.
Yeah, well, I mean, people like that just pop into streams and immediately have nothing relevant to add to the topic at hand. Yeah, I kind of used to block those fuckers. Period.
Oh, I do. I was just showing you what I get all the time on here and on our other show. But I'm just saying that guy could easily be Derek, and obviously he's calling both of us losers. So what that says a lot about what he thinks of you now too, if it is him.
I could care less, dude. Like I think I told you a while back, like last year around, I think it was around this time last year. I actually unfriended him on Facebook. I really haven't spoken to him in like at all in like fuck a year. I know I've sent a few messages to him and haven't got a reply, but I mean at this point, I mean I could give two shits what fucking Derek thinks of me.
Yeah, and besides, like me, you could easily fuck him up too. So, but yeah, no, that's just what he does. Once you question him or anything, you know, he does that shit. And believe me, I've had several people confirm that to me. So, but anyway, back to football. So with going back to the Bulldogs, and I got to ask you this question, dude. And I know we've talked about this like off camera, but I just want to ask you on camera just for the record. When you guys came to South Bend in 2017, and that situation happened where pretty much half of our fans sold their tickets. First off, it's an absolute disgrace on our fans' part, but is there any way? And then when I went down to see you, and we went to the game, we were at Brian Denny that day, and we saw.
Wait, no, not Bryant Denny, dude. Sanford Stadium, get it right.
Sorry, sorry,
Brian Denny. Don't shoot that blasphemy my direction.
Sorry, I'm seeing Dwayne with several comments, and I'm trying to read them, and my mind got screwed up. But yeah, Sanford Stadium. I apologize, dude. I apologize. But when we were at Sanford Stadium, again, my bad. You're my friend. I don't want to lose you as a friend. But when we were there that day, it was exactly how it was supposed to be. All the Georgia fans were all over the place. The only places you really saw Notre Dame fans was in the away section where they're supposed to be. Is there any way in hell that Georgia or any other team would let that happen to their stadium?
Not in the SEC, that's for damn sure. And I can tell you why it's that way with us, because when we went to South Bend in 2017, see those kind of matchups, those are the kind of matchups that don't come around every year. So when they do happen, if you could get a ticket to that game, it's like we're going immediately. We're going. Georgia has been one of those teams that has always traveled well, and even going back to the 2008 when we played Arizona State way out west, dude, like the presence in that stadium. Go back and look at that stadium and look how well we represented that far out west. Georgia has always traveled well. And if they can get tickets, they're going to go. The only way that they don't go is if they can't get tickets. But, games like that, they're expensive. They're not going to be your average game. I mean, that game right there, yeah, that was an expensive ass ticket. So if you can get your hands on them, they went.
And the point that I'm making with all that is it's just a complete disgrace by our fan base that they would ever let that happen. And it's not the first time they've let that happen. Nebraska, they came to South Bend in 2000, and it was the same thing with that too. And it goes back to my point where, people are, wanting Brian Kelly fired and this to happen with player personnel and all that. Oh, you guys need an elite quarterback, which that's true. We do need an elite quarterback to really help get us over that hump. But I think what a big factor of it is too, is to be elite, you need to have an elite fan base. And as much as I hate saying this, and it actually kills me to say it, I don't think the Notre Dame fan base is elite.
You know what? I can agree with that, because the only reason we take over South Bend is Notre Dame fans actually sold their tickets, because all the tickets that were allotted to the UGA fans, yes, those sold out. But the way we took over that stadium, I mean, it's clear as day. Notre Dame fans had to have sold their tickets to UGA fans.
And I know, I got from another thing that I heard too, is that some of it was like staff members, like professors and people who work on the grounds and stuff like that. But you're not going to have that happen from all staff members. So I think what it is our fans really don't care as much as they say they do, or at least half of them, based on that number.
I can almost guarantee you this took place as well. Here it is right here. Let's say you're a Notre Dame fan going to South Bend, and I'm a Georgia fan coming in, and it'd be like, hey man, you want to sell that ticket? And you'd be like, no man, I'm gonna go to the game, man. Oh yeah, I'll give you $600 for it right now. I guarantee you numbers like that were thrown out, and then money talks, dude. I don't care what nobody says, money talks. I guarantee you some of those Georgia fans paid well above the face value for those fucking tickets.
But at the same time though, oh no, you're absolutely right with that. But at the same time, when I was down there, if I had that extra money, for a game as big like that, I don't see any Georgia fans selling me their ticket. And obviously they did.
No. Yeah, we don't do that here. We don't do that.
They filled the stadium. There's no way. I could have offered $2,000 if I had it, and they'd still say no. But also, I remember a comment that I heard in regards to that came from another Notre Dame video maker who's been around for a few years, and I mentioned that same comment to him. And one thing that he told me was, well, you know what I think, Sean? I think what they were trying to do is the fans are trying to send a message to the team, because if you look at that season and in 2000 against Nebraska, they're both those years are coming off of losing seasons, and they want the team and the coaching staff to prove something to them. And I'm thinking, like, I say this back to him. Well, you know something? You might have had a point on that. Because it's true. Both those years we were coming off losing seasons. But at the same time, though, the fans were only selling their tickets to the big games. They were still filling up the stadium for, when Miami of Ohio was there, when Temple was there, when Navy was there, and so on. So they'd go to all the small games, but no, the big games, they sell out the team. They don't go to. You got the old ass alums who've been drinking all day. They sell their tickets for whatever, and they're like, oh well, back to the RV. Let's go drink some more beer. So it just goes to show that half of our fans really don't care as much as they say they do. And then these same people still have the audacity to complain when the team doesn't do well. And it's like, well, why don't you go to the game and actually support the team? When you're giving home field advantage to the opponent, what do you think's going to happen? I mean, granted, we still had a chance to win the game. Of course, it was a turnover at the end, but still. I mean, it was. People are probably sick and tired of me talking about this, but it's an absolute disgrace that Notre Dame fans would actually do that shit.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, those are the kind of matchups. They don't come around a whole lot. So if you get a chance to go to the game, fucking do it. I mean, for all we know, I mean, these two teams, Georgia, Notre Dame, they probably won't have another regular season matchup for God knows how long. The only way they would play now is if they went to the playoffs. So those kind of regular season matches, go to them when they happen. Fucking go to them.
Yeah, they're so freaking rare.
Don't come around a lot.
Yeah, they're so rare, And a game as big as that, you think our fans have been all over it, but no, they're too greedy for money. Which it's nice to have money in your pocket, but let me put it to you this way: any Notre Dame fan who had a ticket to that game already, they're not struggling financially. They're doing all right. But yeah, that's exactly my point. You clarified it. At least in the SEC, that would never happen. But I don't think in any other conference, the Big Ten, ACC, Pac-12, I don't think they would let their stadiums get taken over either. I mean, now maybe
I can't speak on the other conferences mainly because I don't live in their area or whatever, so I can't really speak. But I can speak on what happened when we played Arizona State. We had a home and home with them. And I will say when we traveled over there, like we represented very fucking well. I will say that. That was 2000. Like when we went over there, that was 08, I believe. And I tell you what, their football atmosphere over there is grade A trash too. It's weak as fuck. There was a whole bunch of Georgia fans over there, and they just don't have the same energy that the South has. I'll definitely say that. Over here, the SEC, it's like another level. Those guys over there, they don't even have that energy. I mean, over here, when shit went down, like you get hit with glass, okay? Over there, they were throwing plastic bottles of water at each other and empty plastic bottles at that. I was like, really? That's it? Where's the fucking glass, dude? Like, it's just different.
I can tell you this much, dude. This is nothing against. I mean, of course, I know there's great football on the West Coast and in the Northeast, but when you get to the Midwest and the South, man, football is like a whole different level. There's a lot more behind it. I mean, it's it doesn't take a genius to figure that out. Especially, I mean, of course, Texas, playing, look at how serious they take their high school football. Hell, even all the way down to Pee Wee. But yeah, I just think the Midwest and the South is a whole new level of fandom when it comes to that. But anyway, I saw another question. Well, another question here in regards to Deshaun Watson. Benny asks, I wonder if Dabo gets involved in the Watson situation.
Honestly, I don't see if there's not much anything Dabo can do. What the fuck's he gonna do? Like, unless he was sitting there unless he was sitting there watching Deshaun Watson take a walk up the Strata Chocolatas at these females, what can he do?
Exactly. I mean, he's got his own things to deal with. Another question comes from Dwayne. Magnum, do you still stay in touch with Big Vol Daddy?
I talk to BVD every once in a blue moon. I haven't talked to him in quite a while. Well, and to be fair, I don't get on live streams that much anyways. And it's gotten to the point where I'm rarely on YouTube watching videos either. So, that's to be fair. So it's not just, that I just don't like VVD. It's just I'm not on here a lot, and I just don't talk to everybody much anymore. The only reason I really stay in contact with Sean is, he's on my Facebook and we text back and forth. So I, haven't lost contact with Sean, but everybody else, it's just, I've kind of just drifted my own direction,
Yeah, which does happen. I mean, friendships do change all the time. It's just, sometimes there's lack of time. That's my opinion on that. I just saw Crimson Brave. What's up? He's in the house. Benny's second question to me is, how much do you think USC tickets will go for? Well, I mean, USC's been a little bit, I don't want to say down, but it hasn't been the same as of late. But I think on the street value, they could go pretty decent. Maybe $500. But But regardless, I mean, it's Notre Dame, USC. It's always going to be special. Mike Biederman says, I think had there been full capacity at Notre Dame Stadium against Clemson last year, over half the stadium would have been filled with Clemson fans. You know what? I said the same thing. I don't know if I said it on camera, but I tend to agree with that statement. But then again, that could change too, because since we have the 5-game agreement with the ACC, maybe our fans will wake up. Who knows? But I'm not counting on it because, well, they're too money hungry. But yeah, I agree. Last year, if it was full stadium, it probably would have been half orange.
Hold on just a second, Sean. I got to address this one comment.
Sure.
I guess Dwayne and Crimson were talking, and Dwayne says Miami hasn't been the same since they beat them down in the '92 national title game. Okay, yeah, let's just forget that early 2000 Miami team where the whole goddamn team is practically Hall of Famers. Yeah, we're just going to completely ignore that, I guess. But yeah, okay.
Yeah. Then Dwayne says, "Yep, UGA fans paid a premium for those tickets." I'm sure referring to the 2017 matchup, and Notre Dame fans sold them. Yes. Yeah. Crimson Brave said, "Yeah." Crimson Brave says, "Dwayne, we wouldn't let that happen, and no way would Alabama let that happen in Bryant-Denny Stadium." See, I corrected my error.
None of your big time SEC schools would allow that to happen. Alabama, Georgia, Auburn, LSU. I mean, all these big teams. There's no way in hell we're selling our tickets to the opposing team. Hell no.
A more football related question than a fan question or a comment. Crimson Brave says, Dwayne, JT Daniels is pretty much the best quarterback they've had since Aaron Murray. But honestly, he's good. But I don't think I don't even think he's as good as some of the other elites.
Well, the problem with that statement is we have a very small sample size of JT. Well, I mean, he doesn't even have a full season under his belt here. But in 2 games, and he didn't play but toward the end of the season, but in 2 of those games, the man threw for 400 yards. And that just doesn't happen. Like, we haven't had anybody do that since Aaron Murray. And yes, it's a small sample size, so really this year we'll be able to tell more. But to just be thrown to the wolves like he was, that was his first real game experience in the SEC, and he lit it up. To me, that speaks volumes of what he could be.
And let's see, JT Daniels. I know he came to you guys from Southern Cal, correct? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's what I thought, because I remember him. I think he threw a few. I think he did start 1 game against us. I could be wrong, but how many? I'm just curious. Do you know how many years of eligibility he has left?
I think this next year will. I think maybe his last, but I do. Yeah, he's got 1 year left. He's gone after this next year.
Oh, that's right. I think he could cash in a COVID eligibility year if he wanted to.
And then I see Crimson Brave just said Stetson Bennett is just horrible. Well, to give Stetson the benefit of the doubt, I mean, he had a few good games. I mean, he didn't just suck it up every game. I mean, let's not forget. I mean, as bad as people like to say he was, I mean, he did have a 24-20 lead on Alabama when we played. Now, I'm going to stick to my opinion and say had JT actually played that game, I feel we win that game. But Stetson, it is what it is. I mean, he had some good moments.
Then Crimson also said, if Georgia's offense isn't explosive, you have to ask if they ever will under Kirby. I mean,
well, I think the main thing is Kirby just needed a quarterback. I honestly feel that was the only thing, holding him back, is the quarterback carousel we've been on the last several years. that doesn't do any coach any good to have that kind of problem. Of course, we all know what happened with Jacob Eason and Justin Fields, and I mean, shit happens, and and people. I mean, I do know people act like Fromm was just god awful, which is not the case. I mean, Fromm was pretty good. I mean, was he the best ever? Of course not, but he was still pretty good. I mean, he won the East multiple years. Well, went to a national championship game, and I mean, he had some success. He even won an SEC title. I mean, damn.
Yeah. Then I gotta bring this up. Nick Navarro says, "Fight Lou." He's scared. I want to, Nick, but I can't make him, unfortunately. Then let's see. Okay, yeah, Crimson Brave says JT is a redshirt junior, and due to COVID, he can play for another year after this if he wants to. And then he says Alabama's defense wasn't clicking until the second half of that Georgia game.
Well,
comments.
I mean, I still feel that and I remember JT making the comment like he was cleared to play after the Arkansas game, which was the very first game of the season. Apparently, and JT said it himself, he was cleared to play. It was just the coach's decision to keep him out from then on. And just from what we saw the last few games, it really makes me wonder why the fuck did he not play? Because in 2 of the last, 4 games he played, he threw 400 yards. What the fuck's the problem? I mean, if we as fans, see this in during the game, it's like these coaches have got to be able to see how much more superior this guy is in practice. And I think a lot of, and this is not just Kirby, this goes with a lot of other coaches as well, but damn the fucking loyalty, people. If this fucking sophomore is better than this fucking senior, play the fucking sophomore. That's one thing I'm really sick of. I don't give a shit if this dude is a senior. If this underclassman is the better football player, play him. End of story.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, my buddy Ben and I over at the Two Irish Brothers, we've been talking about the quarterback situation at Notre Dame right now, and what we have on our depth chart right now is graduate transfer Jack Cohn, who came to us from Wisconsin. Then sophomore quarterback with a kid by the name of Drew Pine, and then we had a 5-star quarterback out of California, true freshman Tyler Buckner, and we've had some people over there thinking that you guys are against Buckner, you don't want him to start. No, it's not that. It's just myself personally, with Jack Cohn being the veteran, I think he'll end up getting the job. But this is where what you're talking about, Magnum, is very relevant to our situation. Because if this young kid Buckner or the backup Drew Pine, if they're the best, then you go with the best. You go with who's performing well, who's putting up the numbers, who's winning you games. So you couldn't be any more right about that. Because ultimately, as a head coach, it's your job to win games, and you have to put in the players that can get it done for you.
Yeah, and I'm just tired of seeing that, man. I'm tired of seeing that the whole loyalty bullshit. Just because this guy's a senior, I mean, they would play him over a guy that's clearly better. But just because he's an underclassman, he doesn't fucking play. Yeah, I've never been a fan of that shit, and I never will be. And until all of these coaches learn that, they're not going to win a goddamn thing.
Yeah, exactly. Where was it? Cold as Brian. What's up, dude? Cold as Brian comes in and he says, "Hey guys, I heard you talking about away fans taking over Notre Dame earlier. Not sure if you mentioned Texas and Oklahoma. They took over a pretty sizable portion of the stadium as well." I don't doubt that. I don't really remember seeing overhead views from the Texas games and the Oklahoma games in 2013 and 14 respectively. I just think that obviously Nebraska from 2000 and Georgia from 2017 are just the biggest examples. But I have no doubt that there were more than usual fans from Oklahoma and Texas in the stadium on those respectable days.
And Crimson Brave just commented. He said he 100% agrees with us. He says that's how I was feeling about the Hurts Tua situation. It was so obvious Tua was much better than Hurts, as a freshman. And you know what? And that's why Saban is regarded as arguably the best football coach ever. Because even though Hurts was the upperclassman and Tua was the underclassman, Tua was clearly better. So guess what? He played Tua. Even Hurts ended up transferring away. Saban over time has changed his philosophy. Of course, he used to be the run first, offensive minded guy, and then beat you with that devastating defense. Well, he's changed up his whole offensive philosophy, and now he's just tagging your ass through the air. Now, yes, the defense is not what it used to be, but it's still pretty good. But the point is, Nick Saban changed up his entire philosophy in order to still compete for national championships. And until other coaches decide to follow suit, shit ain't gonna change.
Let's see here. Crimson Brave also said Fromm isn't terrible, but he's just another Bama quarterback before Tua.
I'm not sure what he means by that statement. Just another Bama quarterback before Tua. I'm not really sure about that, but.
Dwayne Roll Tide Roll said some of these troll accounts must have me blocked because I can't see the comments. They probably do. Another comment from Cold as Brian. Georgia Pro A game would have beaten Notre Dame more handily, but for whatever reason, their offense was way too pass happy. Well, I mean, that defense was really good at stopping the run in 2017. And overall, for a while, we've been pretty good at stopping the run for a while now. I mean, we've had bad games, but, I don't know what's your take.
That 2017 game, that game was circled. I mean, not just by the fans, but the teams had that date circled. It's one, like I said, it's one of those matchups that just does not come around a lot. Both of those teams, they left it all on the field. It was 100% every play. There was no taking plays off in that game. Both of those teams wanted to win that game. It was just a matter of who wanted it most, who could dig down deep and make that one play. And at the end of the day, the Georgia defense made that play toward the end to seal the deal. I mean, it was a damn good game, and it definitely lived up to the hype. I don't care what nobody says, that shit lived up to the hype.
Yes, it did. And it's just a shame that Brandon Wimbush had to fumble on which it wasn't really his fault because our right tackle missed the block, but it's just too bad that happened. But I know you're happy with it, of course, dude. But yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's see.
I see. Okay, Crimson Brave says what he meant was that every quarterback before Tua was just a game manager. That's what he saw Fromm as. Well, okay. I mean, I guess my stance on game managers is different than everybody else. Every quarterback's job is to manage the game. That's the way I view it. Whether it's a situation that calls for a 30-yard pass, your job is to manage that team and make that play. You see what I'm saying? To me, the whole game manager term, I've never really liked that term, because no matter what the situation is, it's the quarterback's job to manage. God damn it! Stop making yourself throw up. Sorry. My daughter's
That's
sitting there
all right.
sticking her fucking finger down her throat, making herself puke. Stop that shit.
No. You got to
Anyway.
teach her that anorexia is not a good thing.
Yeah, here we go. But anyway, it's the quarterback's job, to manage the game no matter the situation. So yes, every quarterback is a game manager. That's the way I view it.
Yeah, you have to be to keep things in order. It's just some happen to be very talented, some not so much. Oh, and by the way, to all the people I made moderators, here's one for you guys to block. But
Oh
okay,
yeah,
we covered that one.
snowflakes. Yeah, how original. Woohoo!
Yeah, see now this is another one that I suspect could be old Walter, but I can't prove that. But anyway, let's see here. Dwayne has a good point with this. If you hold a spread team to 17 to 20 points, that's a win for the defense. Absolutely true.
Well, it all depends. If that spread team scores 20 and still wins, at the end of the day, they still win the game.
Yeah. Oh, of course. I'm just saying. Let's see. Crimson, when our team scores an average of 54 points, well, LOL. Yeah, if you score 54 points, then you should have no problem winning the game. Notre Dame 2164 says it's weird how the game has had defensive eras and offensive eras.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna try and make this as short as I can here. That right there, I mean, to me, the eras are much different. For the most part, is mainly because of the rule changes. I mean, back in the day, I mean, a defensive back could maul a receiver going downfield. You hear stories of Roger Staubach. He talks of this all the time. He looked downfield and he wanted to hit Drew Pearson, but he sees Drew Pearson laid out on the field, and he has to look somewhere else. And of course, no flags were thrown back then for that.
Yeah.
Over time, the game has drastically changed from all these rules. I mean, back then, I mean, you could baptize quarterbacks and sacrifice them to the gods, and no flags would be thrown. I mean, nowadays, we can't even breathe on quarterbacks. If you do, well, guess what? You just extended a drive. People don't take that into account. All these drives that are now extended because of these little shit penalties, think of all of the extra yards that quarterback or running back gets because of that. So many drives are extended nowadays. All of these so-called quarterbacks, their stats are so fucking inflated, it's fucking unreal, man.
Yeah, it is. I mean, of course, like, I can't lie to you. Whenever I'm watching the Irish or the Bears, whichever one of my teams, we'll get the benefit of a really bad penalty. And this is how I approach it. I'll take it. Absolutely, I will take the benefit of a penalty, but at the same time, I'm saying, "Oh boy, that was bad."
Yeah, I mean, perfect example of this. Remember, a couple years ago, the Patriots and the Chiefs in the AFC title game. The Chiefs looked primed and ready to go to the Super Bowl, but you remember the play? I think it was what was it? What was his name? I think it may have been Justin Houston. I can't remember. But anyway, you remember that he just touched Tom Brady's fucking shoulder pad. I mean, he didn't drag him to the ground, nothing. He touched his fucking shoulder pad, dude. And the ref called a roughing the passer call.
I remember that.
And immediately I shut off the TV. At that time, I shut off the TV. Because at that point, it was like, oh, fuck this. Here we go. Dude, when I see shit like that, I can't watch the game no more. The moment I see bullshit like that, I just can't do it, dude. And sure enough, because of that fuckery, the Patriots end up going on to win the game. But, shit like that is it's why these quarterback stats, all these offensive stats are so inflated today, is because the game is tailored to favor the offense. The defense, holy shit, they have to walk on eggshells, man. I mean, gone are the days are, delivering a goddamn Goldberg spear in the middle of the field. You just can't do it no more.
Dwayne says, "I never cry about the refs." From a quote from Big Dog Brett, apparently. LOL. I can't really comment on that because I don't really know Big Dog Brett that well enough. But let's see. I saw another one too. Cold as Brian. We've had calls go against us. It happens both ways. But then he also said Torrey Hunter being knocked out against Texas back in 2000. Actually, was that Texas in 2016? Yeah, I think it was. But for some reason, I was thinking it was against Florida State. But I think it was Texas, actually. And they didn't call it or review it for targeting. Yeah, I remember the play that you're talking about very well, Cold as Brian. And at the very least, they have to review it. How do you see a hit like that and not review it?
Man, and speaking of that, all of these goddamn targeting calls, holy shit! And a lot of these calls are actually legit. I mean, they. It looks bad when you see full speed, but when they slow it down, clearly a lot of times the guy leads with his shoulder and makes contact with his shoulder. It's not helmet to helmet. Dude, a lot of this garbage has ruined the game in some ways. It really has.
I mean, I get that they're trying to look out for for head injuries, concussions, and all that. I understand this. I've said this many times over the years, but when you take away an essential part that a defender, especially a defensive back, needs to make a play and stop the receiver, running back, whoever, then you're basically taking away everything from his arsenal. Now, I'm not saying that he should be allowed to just bash him with his helmet. No, I'm not saying that. But when you're trying to go low and make a tackle, and if you happen to accidentally lead with your head, then it's just, it's crap. It's absolute bullshit. And maybe this is gonna make me sound cold. I don't know, but I'm not trying to be. But listen, the game of football is a physical game, and all these guys who played it knew what they signed up for. They knew that they risked potential serious injury, and it's just. I know you want things to be safer, but it's not going to be 100% safe. I'm sorry, it's not.
And in ways, they're making it more dangerous.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Because guys are trying to think on a fly and think like, oh, I better not lean with my head, so I got to do something else. Well, when he's in the middle of making that adjustment, he could get hurt on that. Yeah,
and this is one of the reasons. This is one of the reasons why I say. And it has to be a pretty spectacular player for me to put them in this category. But this is why today's era, I cannot look at any of these players on the same level as players from back in the day. Simply because the physicality is so much different, dude. Like the game is completely different. I can't. All the stats are so inflated now. I can't fucking do it, dude.
Let me tell you something. I remember watching that 30 for 30 on the 85 Bears, and Otis Wilson, the linebacker for that team, he said, man, if I was playing today, I'd be playing for free because I would get fined every day. How hard I hit the quarterback or how much I do this, that, whatever. So that says it all right there.
I mean, and think about some of the quarterbacks back then, as much as they were killed pretty much on the field. Imagine, let's do like you remember these guys, or should be. I mean, you're old enough to, but we had an era to where we got to see guys like Dan Marino and Joe Montana and John Elway and Jim Kelly, Warren Moon, Brett Favre. All of these guys be in the league at the same time.
Boomer Esiason.
Dude, that's when the NFL was the fucking NFL.
Yes. Oh, yes. And even though I hate his commentary, Troy Aikman, gosh, he was another good one.
Dude, there were so many. He
was before my time.
Then.
Dan Fouts. I mean, like I said, he was before my time. I wasn't born until 86. But so many solid players. John Elway, how can we forget him?
Oh, I mentioned him. Of course, yeah, of course I did mention him.
Okay, I guess I wasn't paying attention.
But what I'm saying is, imagine if those guys played in this era. For what they did in their era, imagine this pussy era that they would be in nowadays. Dude, the game would be so tailored for them. Like I just sit back and try to imagine the numbers Dan Marino would put up today.
Oh,
It's fucking crazy.
It would be
You know,
ungodly.
in the fucking early '80s. I mean, Dan Marino was throwing for 5,000 yards and 48 touchdowns. Imagine him in this era. Like, holy shit.
60 easy. At least 60 touchdowns a year. Okay, and real quick, so the guys who are talking about not seeing the comments, the troll comments, you guys don't see this guy in the comment section. You scroll up and don't see him. Because I haven't blocked this guy yet. He's still there. But if you guys can't see him, that tells me a lot. It proves me 100% correct. But I'll just leave it at that. No, the offensive numbers for quarterbacks from that era and today, yeah, they would be ungodly. It wouldn't even be fair. It wouldn't be. But let's get back to some other comments here. Cold as Brian says, don't forget our pass interference call against Florida State. I remember that. Believe me, I do. Clear as day. And then Clemson ran the same exact play to beat Alabama in 2016. Then he says, I think you should be ejected on something that has to be reviewed. And then Dwayne Roll Tide Roll says, Alabama used that play Clemson used to beat us against UGA for 90-yard touchdown. Okay. Yeah, I think this is something you and I can both comment on, dude. Notre Dame 2164 says hitting hard isn't even allowed anymore.
Yeah.
By certain standards?
That's for the most part true. I mean, it really is. I mean, because back in the day, I'll put it like this: growing up, every Sunday, I knew for a fact I was going to see some hitting. Somebody was going to get sacrificed to the gods. Nowadays, it's like you're lucky if a linebacker even attempts a hit like that. I mean, like I said, the defense has to walk on eggshells now because they're so fucking handicapped.
Yeah. I mean, they can't do their job or fulfill their assignment properly because it seems like if they give the quarterback or the ball carrier a hangnail, boom, they're ejected from the game or it's a 15-yard penalty. And I think with the targeting rule, that's where it really hurts the most is the fact that you can be ejected. I mean, I don't like the rule in general. I mean, I hate the targeting rule. I can't stand it. But if they're going to have it, why does there have to be ejections? Why can't it just be a 15-yard penalty and you move on?
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely agree with that. And what I was saying earlier, that's being inflated. A lot of these, a lot of those quarterbacks we just mentioned, dude, you get into some of these Facebook groups, dude, all of these people today are disrespecting those guys. I never thought I would see the day where guys like Joe Montana and Jerry Rice and Dan Marino, John Elway would be criticized. And a lot of these guys criticize the quarterbacks for they're like, well, they threw a lot of interceptions. Well, guess what? There was this little thing called defense that was actually played back then. And like I said, these guys could maul receivers going down the field. I mean, it was football back then. I mean, the game is just so tailored to offense nowadays. I mean, that's why you see even your average quarterbacks nowadays, their interception numbers are fairly low. Because that's the way the game is now. But I guarantee you put those guys in today's era, holy shit. It's not even going to be a contest.
Yeah. Yeah, it wouldn't be. I mean, that's how much that the powers that be have fucked up this game. I mean, I think it's a great game. I still do, but it's just all these ridiculous rules, and all because some of the older guys are having problems later in life because of the wrongdoings of guys back in the day. And what I mean by that is, a sideline medical trainer who knows a guy has a concussion but sends him back in. Well, that happened a lot back in the day, and now here we are as fans paying for it today.
Well, a lot of that too. It wasn't just the trainer; the player wanted to go back in, and that's where I disagree with a lot of folks. It's like, yes, of course, the trainer wants you to go back in if you can, but if a player is sitting there telling you that I want to go back in and play, if he's able to, why not? Like you said, these guys knew that football is a physical game. When I played, we knew it was a physical sport. Like the risk of getting hurt is always there. We knew that. I'm sick of the whole crybaby bullshit in the NFL. I mean, goddamn.
You're gonna get hit. And I guess I do have to correct myself on that statement then with the medical trainer back in the day, because you're right. It wasn't just that. There was a lot of things going on. And I mean, even a guy with a concussion can be pretty convincing. It's like, let me back out on that damn field. So, I mean,
especially if it's a big game, like you're in the playoffs, it's your star player, and he really wants that Super Bowl title. You know damn well he's going to want to go back in and try to win it for his team. And you know what? I commend him for that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a he's doing. What
you go back and I mean, I love talking about this, but I mean, I hate to say it. It just happens to be a Notre Dame day. I know you've seen the game before. Remember the 1980 national championship game? Herschel Walker separated his shoulder, dude.
Yeah.
And fucking played damn near the whole game with a separated shoulder and still had 150 yards. Guess what? We won't see that shit again.
No. And that's the thing. You and I were talking about this when I was down visiting you for the Notre Dame Georgia game a couple of years ago. Hard to imagine it's been a couple of years already. But a lot of it too is simply this. Guys want to hide their injuries because if they're a highly touted prospect for the NFL, then yeah, they're going to lie, because if they say that they're hurt, then these pro franchises are going to say, well, this guy's like glass. He breaks easily. Can't draft him.
Yep. And I just wish, I mean, we're probably never going to get it again. It's just, I really miss the old days of football, whether it's college or the NFL, man. It's just, I miss seeing guys like Lawrence Taylor. I miss seeing guys like Reggie White and Bruce Smith just destroy quarterbacks, dude. I was lucky enough to grow up in that era, and I was lucky enough to be able to watch that. And I will always feel, I don't care what any of these kids today think, I will always feel that era was the greatest era in football. I truly believe that if you were to pick the top guys from that era and put them against the guys from, today, the top guys from today's era, it would not even be a contest, man. It really wouldn't.
No, absolutely not. And one thing I wanted to comment before, not trying to just drastically change, the topics here, but going back to, the guys wanting to play hurt and, telling the sideline trainer, no, I'm going back in and all that. Then if they want to do that, and I don't know what your feeling is on this, but if they want to do that, okay, that's fine. But don't be trying to sue the NFL years later for knowing what you were doing.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Because if a guy's going to go play on with a concussion and he knows he's risking brain damage and CTE and all that, don't be trying to sue the league later when you knew what you were getting yourself into. So, but yeah, Dwayne Roll Tide Roll, he leaves a comment that you'll like as well. Herschel also broke his thumb and played with a cast. I don't know if that was the same game, but
players back then, and and it wasn't just Herschel. A lot of players back then, they played through injury. I remember just a couple of years ago, when Chubb was here at Georgia, the motherfucker had a club, or like his whole like forearm and hand and everything was casted up. But guess what? He still fucking played. Chubb, to me, was one of those rare throwback guys. I feel that
Yeah,
guys
I
like
agree.
him, you could take him, transport him back in time, and he would fit in to the era with the old school guys. Guys like that, I still have tremendous respect for. I don't care what team this said player plays for. If you got a player that will play through an injury like that, mad respect.
Oh yeah, and even Nick Chubb, he was a freaking monster. He was almost like the $6 million man. The way he could run and do all that he was able to do, and it paid off for him. Let's see, and well, hell, even back in the day, I remember Emmitt Smith for the Cowboys. He played with 2 pulled hammies.
You know what? And that's something else these people today are doing. They are disrespecting Emmitt Smith on an epic scale. They all say, well, the only reason he was good is because he had a Hall of Fame offensive line. Yeah. Well, guess what?
That's part of the game.
What? Well, here's the problem with that. I challenge anybody to look up the Dallas Cowboys record when Emmitt Smith did not play, and then look at the record when he did play. The difference is night and day. Emmitt Smith was the heart and soul of that fucking Cowboys team. Without Emmitt Smith, they were absolute garbage.
No, Emmitt Smith was a freak of nature, and these dumbasses, well, he had a Hall of Fame offensive line. Well, yeah, who wouldn't like to have an offensive line? But yeah, that doesn't mean Emmitt Smith couldn't do shit.
Well, if the offensive line was so good, like all these people today claim, why didn't no other running back have success behind that same offensive line? I'll tell you why. Because they wasn't as good as Emmitt.
Emmitt Smith was a different breed. He was just a freak of nature. And let me tell you something. About Emmitt Smith. Obviously, Magnum, as everyone else knows watching, huge Chicago Bears fan. I love the Bears. But when I was a kid, I had an Emmitt Smith jersey because I respected the shit out of that guy and how good he was.
Oh, dude, I had so many different players' jersey growing up that it was crazy, dude. I mean, I had I had Barry Sanders, I had Jim Kelly. Dude, I had so many different jerseys because I loved watching those players play the game. To me, I mean, everybody has their opinion, and that's fine. I get it. But in my personal opinion, the greatest running back to ever play the game, and I just happened to be lucky enough to be able to watch him, was Barry Sanders.
Yeah,
Barry Sanders
him. I was going to mention him too.
Just crazy stupid. He played, and now we can use the offensive line for an example here because Detroit's offensive line was absolute doo-doo. Barry had to make the plays to get all those yards. Barry,
exactly.
Let's imagine Barry Sanders behind, for example, the Dallas Cowboy line. Who knows what he could have done with that? But I'm just saying that
wouldn't
Barry
even be
Sanders
fair.
to play on that bad of a football team and do what he did. And in 10 seasons, dude, 10 seasons, he had over 15,000 yards, dude. Like, it's fucking stupid.
Man, you mentioned him playing behind that Dallas offensive line. That almost wouldn't be fair, dude. Let's see.
No, that would be that would just be God, Jesus.
Ghost of Judah Tribe. I'm surprised he's still showing up because as far as I knew, he didn't like me too well. Magnum, do you have a dick butt kiss jersey? Seems like you would love that one from the name alone.
I
don't know if he's being I'm not sure if he's being sarcastic or what, but
yeah, I'm not gonna dignify that one with the response. So do continue.
Okay. This Notre Dame 2164. It kills me to see a kid get kicked out of a big game because his head was in the wrong position while tackling, or his helmet happens to touch a quarterback's helmet while getting a sack. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. A big game, and not only that, but going back to that the targeting rule, if it's in the second half, that player is also out for the first half of the next game, which is even more bullshit.
Yeah.
And then,
well, I mean, it just goes back to the rules, man. The rules are just so different now. I mean, these defenders are expected to kind of change their directory at the last second, I guess. I mean, if you got an offensive player that, like, whether let's say he does a spin or a juke or whatever, and you're already going one direction, I mean, unless you're Neo from the Matrix, I don't see you, slowing down time and completely contorting your body to another position.
Yeah, it's just too hard. It's too quick for time to make the adjustment. So yeah, in that situation, there's going to be some contact. You can't help that in that case. So that's why this rule is bullshit. Cold as Bryant says Greg Jennings scored a touchdown with a broken leg.
Well, see, there again, guys that play through those kinds of injuries, dude. I mean, it's like enjoy them while they're around because they're very few and far in between nowadays. I mean, if you got a player that's just suffering from a mild fucking cramp, he's probably going to miss the rest of the game. You'll probably hear the sideline reporter say, "Oh, he's questionable to return off a little small cramp." Meanwhile, you got Joe Montana that gets baptized by Lawrence Taylor and misses a season and a half and comes back and still plays. I mean, they're just built different back then. The guys today, to me, they're just soft, man. Fucking soft.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, these bullshit rules have really screwed up the game, like I said earlier. But also, here's something else. I know I've mentioned this a number of times over the years too. If guys are going to get penalized for going up top, and coaches are so worried about going to the head and getting penalties and whatnot, they're probably all going to start doing what the Naval Academies have been doing, going for the guys' legs. So then you're going to have guys complaining that, oh, I have all these leg injuries. They're going to start suing the NFL for that and crap. So it's like a never-ending saga.
Like here again, what's this guy? Notre Dame 2164 says his grandma could have run behind the Dallas Cowboys 90 offensive line. Well, see, that goes back to what I was just saying earlier. If that was the case, how come no other running back besides Emmitt Smith had success? Because Emmitt Smith was just that damn good. Dallas's record without Emmitt Smith is god awful, terrible. Like the whole notion that anybody could run behind that line is completely false, and that just shows whoever says that just shows the lack of football knowledge. That's the easiest way I'm going to say that.
I know you probably don't want to hear another thing from this, but I just want to see what your thoughts are on this. Hey, Magnum, this is the Ghost of Jude Tribe again. Hey, Magnum, how many student athletes did Georgia pay off this spring? You should be ashamed of Kirby Smart. So have fun and rip into this guy.
Yeah, moving on.
Now, and for the record, Magnum, this guy thinks the world is flat. I know that for a fact.
Even more so to just let's move along, ignore, let's continue.
Cold as Brian says, I don't know if you follow baseball, but you should look into the amount of time Yankees players have missed due to injury the last few years. These guys are always hurt.
And I'm going to be honest with that here, with this comment. I do not follow baseball like I used to in the 90s. Now, growing up, I followed it religiously, just as much as I did football. But I'd say over the last 10, 15 years, I really quit following baseball. I occasionally will just look up a game and may watch a little bit of it, whatnot. But as far as me following it, the way I used to? No. So a lot of times I can't even tell you who's hurt on the baseball team and who isn't.
That's understandable. I mean, if you don't follow it, then you wouldn't know. But I guess I do watch baseball, mostly just the Cubs. But yeah, I'll have to look in on that with the Yankees. I haven't really followed their their injury report. But if that's true, then that's interesting. Let's see what else. So yeah, Dwayne Crimson, you can't see this guy either. This Ghost of Judah Tribe guy, or the other one that I showed you. They must have you guys blocked too then, because that's crazy. That's right now. That's the end of the line as far as comments from the live chat go. Magnum.
Yeah, and it's about that time. I gotta head out. I gotta feed my daughter and everything, and get ready for in the morning. But it was good getting on here and talking a little football with you again.
Yeah, like I said, it's always great to talk football with you, just to talk to you in general, because you're a good dude. And again, I can't say thank you enough for you and your family taking me in when I was down there in 2019, and saving me all the money on hotels and shit like that.
Oh shit, dude! Well, I mean, we talked about that for several years, even before it happened. Before you came down here, it was like, yeah, dude, just come crash over here. Save you hotel money. So we had been talking about it for several years before it actually happened.
Yeah, and I'll definitely always be grateful to you guys for that. And yeah, that whole week that I was there, I think I was there what 5 days with you guys.
Yeah, it was like 5 days.
It was a great time. It was a great time.
Oh yeah.
And we had a lot of fun. And Ghost of Judah Tribe, the fact that you believe that the earth is flat just says it all. No credibility to you whatsoever. But please, you enjoy being a Democratic libtard, and yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Okay. Well, that explains even more. I got you.
Yeah, this guy's your typical left liberal Democrat, all about BLM. I'm sure. Probably he definitely thinks the world is flat. Probably thinks the world owes him something, like a lot of those idiots on that side. But I'm just gonna get rid of his stupid ass off this channel right now. So, yeah, he's obsessed with that. Yeah, I just looking at that guy, I can tell he's pretty much a thug. Yeah. So,
yes, yeah, good to see you commenting again, Dwayne. Let's see. Yeah, Notre Dame. I'm anxious to see this year's offense as well. We get to see JT play a full season. Hope if he stays healthy. Anxious to see what he can do. And quite frankly, most of us Georgia fans, we actually would like to see a lot more of Kendall Milton this year, because when Kendall Milton did play a lot last year, like, he looked to be more explosive than Zamir White did. We want to see more Kendall Milton this year behind JT. Now, he probably still won't be starting, but he should definitely get a lot more reps than what he did last year. But yeah, Kendall Milton is definitely one of the people that I'm going to keep my eyes on this year, as well as JT. I think if JT can play just like he did last season, I mean, we'll be in great shape. I mean, if he can have a couple games where 350 plus yards, 3 touchdowns, we'll be completely happy with that. I mean, if we score, I mean, I'm not one of these fans, and this is what kills me. A lot of people like putting a loss on a quarterback, even though it's not his fault. For example, JT, he could throw 4 touchdowns, and let's say Zamir White scored 1 touchdown. Okay, so our offense scored 35 points. Well, if our defense gives up fucking 38 or 40 points, that's not JT's fault. You know, all I care about is seeing good production. I want to see good decisions, that type of thing. If JT does what he did last year, I'll be perfectly fucking happy. I mean, it is what it is. People put too much credit on quarterback wins and losses. It's a team fucking effort. This is why I can't
Yeah.
stand like the today's football fans. I really can't.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. You know, if your defense is like you said, if your defense gives up like 40 points a game, you know, it's just going to be a disaster. So, I mean, but yeah, that explains a lot. I mean, yeah, Crimson Brave said he was able to see some of these guys, and I don't know why that is, Dwayne, unless that guy blocked you too, and because he was on here before. So, yeah, I don't know what the issue is with that, but Crimson Brave is definitely right. YouTube can be weird, but what you were saying, Magnum, with Milton, it always is an exciting time to see these new up and coming guys, and you know, just hoping that they can turn into stars.
Yeah, I mean, barring injury, guys like Kendall Milton and hell, even another guy we got, Kenny McIntosh, they've shown flashes, dude. Like when they get their time, like I see really great things. Like this is just like the calm before the storm, is what I like to say. This is the calm before the storm. With Kendall Milton and Kenny McIntosh making some big plays, I'm just waiting for the day that it's their time where they get the majority of the carries, and then let's see if they can continue that.
Yeah, and this other comment that I have to address before we call it a night. Notre Dame 2164 says Notre Dame beat Clemson last year when DJ Uyunglele threw over 400 yards against us, and some people were blaming DJ for the loss. That's just crazy. Exactly. It's
that's why I said that I have removed myself from a lot of different sports groups on Facebook because just the way the average fan is nowadays. They give the quarterback sole credit for a win or loss, and that is just fucking stupid. I've never liked that, and I never will like that, and I can't stand the people who think that way.
Oh, well, it's not just them putting too much on a quarterback or reading too much into quarterback win and losses. I said it earlier with a good chunk of our fan base earlier when I was talking about how they think. I mean, they want to fire. They want our coach fired after 4 consecutive 10+ win seasons and three appearances in the postseason and in the playoff / national title game. And I get, and going back to that real quick, I get it. There comes a time where you have to get over that hump and win those games, but you can't just ignore all the good stuff that's been done. So the bottom line, what I'm getting at here is, yeah, a lot of fans today are just crazy in how they think and how
it's just the age difference, man. It's a lot of it's the teenagers and really young adults. That's the ones who have pretty much, I would say, have ruined a lot of the image, I guess you would say. Because back then, when I was watching football, I could tell you right now, if a team lost, I didn't put it all on one player. I'll tell you that right the fuck now. And you hate to feel for the guy. I mean, you have to feel for him. Jim Kelly lost 4 Super Bowls. You can't put You can't put those losses on Jim Kelly alone. Hey, what the fuck is wrong with people? And I've seen people in these sports groups. They don't mention nobody else. Jim Kelly lost 4 Super Bowls. Oh yeah, okay. I forgot Jim Kelly didn't have a team. Yeah, he played these guys by himself, didn't he?
Well, yeah, exactly. What about that Buffalo defense that was getting tore up by that Dallas defense in both the last 2 games? Or Scott Norwood missing the field goal. I mean, I'm not trying to hate on him, but he did miss a key kick that would have won them the game.
Yeah, exactly. Had he made that kick,
I mean, that was
they would have won the Super Bowl. But I mean, the problem is just I'm tired of just people blaming quarterbacks, and I see it being an Atlanta Falcon fan. I see so much shit get thrown Matt Ryan's direction. It's crazy. Like these people here are out of control. Like Matt Ryan is sitting up there constantly throwing 4,500-yard seasons and 30 goddamn touchdowns. What the fuck, man? Like our defense has been utter ass. We're giving up 35, 40 points a game.
But it's Matt Ryan's fault.
Yeah, exactly. It all falls on Matt Ryan.
And something I wanted to ask you too, Magnum, and then I guess we can call it a show. But something that I've said before, and I've been thinking about, I want to get your opinion on it. And this is specifically at the college level. When I was talking about how our fan base was, and letting the stadium get taken over, for big games, and then complaining that we actually make the playoffs, do you think that could actually have potentially affect how or not all the way, not 100%, but be a factor into how recruits view the program when they're being recruited by said program?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, let's put it like this. If I'm a recruit and if I'm scheduled for a visit to come to Notre Dame, for example, and I come there and I want to, experience a great atmosphere and everything, and all of a sudden I see this stadium get filled with the visiting fans, oh, you bet your ass I'm going to be questioning a few things.
That's my thing. I mean, I know these recruits are only, 17, 18 years old, but they're certainly smart enough to see that. And that would have to leave a bad taste in their mouth and maybe get them thinking like, well, man, why would I want to come to this program when the fan base just gives up on us and sells us out when a big game comes to town? You
Notre Dame. I'm sorry, Sean. Right. I just want to address it before I forget it. It's sure. Notre Dame 2164 asked me. He says, Magnum, do you think Georgia will beat Florida this year? How good or bad?
I was going to put that up, actually.
Oh, yeah. He says, how good or bad do you think Florida will be? I don't think they'll be as good as last year. When you lose the offensive production they lost, you're almost guaranteed to take a step back. Perfect example, when we lost Matt Stafford and Noshawn Marino after the 2008 season, well, we saw what happened in 2009. You just, in my opinion, you just don't lose that kind of production and immediately fill it. I don't think they're going to be terrible. I just don't think they're going to be as good as they was last year. I mean, to replace a Kyle Trask and Pitts, I mean, you're asking these new guys to fill some huge ass shoes, and I just don't think it's going to be done. So I think they'll finish second in the East this year behind Georgia.
But of course, I know you as a fan, you hope they do bad.
Well, of course. I mean, I don't have any remorse for Florida. To me, they can lose every game. But at the same time, I'm a realist. I mean, I know they're not going to be all out terrible, but they're just not going to be as good as they were last year.
That makes sense. I mean, yeah, you lose a lot of guys. That's a lot of talent to replace, and it can be overwhelming. But yeah, I just want to finish off that last point that I was making. These recruits, they could see. I've always thought like maybe they don't read much into that stuff like I think they do, but I'd like to think that when they're exploring their college choices and being recruited by all these teams, I would think they would notice something significant like that. Because they could. Yeah, because
if I'm going to come to a school, man, I don't want to really come to a school to knowing that my stadium could possibly be taken over by visiting fans. I mean, and as a student athlete, I mean, think of their mindset. They're out there trying to win a football game, and their own home stadium, they're getting booed, but it's not from their own fans. It's from the visiting fans. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, you got the whole home side getting taken over by visitors. I mean, dude, that's not normal.
Yeah, because I mean, because I've always said, like, if we want to get Notre Dame 2164, he wants to know when Notre Dame and Georgia play again. There's no set matchup. The only way we'd play one another is if we both make the playoffs and or a postseason
or a bowl game
where it matches up. But yeah, I mean, I would like to think that these kids being recruited would see that, because and it goes back to what I said earlier. If we want to get these elite recruits, like an elite quarterback, which is something that we really need to have to get to that next level and get over those hump and win these big games, then we got to have an elite fan base that stands by the team.
Yeah.
It seems like so many of our fans are so ready to bail. I mean, the best example, I told you about that video of this woman watching the playoff selection show, and she just huffed and puffed when we made it, and because we had to play Alabama. And your sound's off, Magnum.
Okay, yeah, my bad.
Oh, I was saying I don't think I muted you, but the point that I'm making is, or getting back to that, there was the video of the woman, the Notre Dame female fan who was huffing and puffing, but then you see a video that Rocco Spindler, who is an incoming, he's at Notre Dame right now, but he's a freshman offensive line recruit. He shows a video, and when it was announced that we made the number 4 spot, he was jumping up in the air and happy. And I don't know, I think he did follow us. Like, he did follow Notre Dame before his recruitment, but that says a lot when an incoming freshman is getting excited and pumped up, and a longtime fan is huffing and puffing. So basically, to get elite recruits, you have to be an elite fan base, and I hate saying it, we are not an elite fan base. You know, I mean, like I said, when you call Brian Kelly a trash coach when he's taken us to places we haven't been to since Lou Holtz, and I think it just goes back to what you were saying about how the modern fan, the younger ones think these days.
Well, I'm gonna.
Yeah. So
and my part with this right here. One other thing that bothers me, and it's really not anything to do with the actual game. Dude, I don't know about you, but I am so sick of these uniform changes in the NFL. These arena-looking football league uniforms. Oh my God, these sons of bitches are so ugly nowadays. What the fuck? Like, whatever happened to just the traditional iconic NFL look? I mean, God damn. I'll tell you what, even as a Falcons fan, these new Falcons uniforms are fucking terrible, dude. I fucking hate them. I hate them. The Rams are ugly as fuck. I mean, the fucking Jets. I mean, it looks like you got a team of fucking Green Rangers out there now. Like, what the fuck is going on with these uniforms?
Yeah, the Rams. I remember their change. I didn't see the Falcons uniform change, but I saw the Rams one, and that was god awful. I mean, why would you take away that ram horn design? I mean, so freaking stupid. But I don't know.
That shit, it just really, really bothers me. And even the Dolphins, getting away from their iconic look, even the new, like, brighter aqua look and the new Dolphin look. I just don't feel that shit, dude. Like, these new uniforms, it's terrible to look at, man. It's hurtful to the eye.
It's basically what it is. What needs to be applied here is the classic saying: if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, which is one of the reasons why, I mean, I still, like the fact that certain teams are not changing their shit. They're sticking with their traditional, their iconic look, like the Packers, the Bears, nothing's really changed with those teams. They've kept that same look for years and years and years. And it's recognizable. It's iconic, damn the uniform changes. Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
Now college, it's a little different. I mean, college, I don't too much have an issue with it, but the NFL, it's a lot more. It's different to me. Like, the NFL has always been more iconic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, college I can somewhat understand to a degree because they want the pizzazz as another way to bring in the top recruits. I understand that. But yeah, NFL, it just don't mess with that, dude. You don't need to.
Yeah. Well, I got to head out, dude, but it was good chatting with you, and it was good talking to folks in the comment section again.
Yep. Yes, it was. It's always great talking to you, Magnum, and we'll definitely be in touch soon. That's for sure. And thank you to everybody who showed up tonight. Well, almost everybody. And yeah, Dwayne, I don't know why you're not seeing comments. Clearly, the ones you couldn't see, that they were ones who blocked you. So, but at the same time, Crimson was right. YouTube can be screwy, but I've said enough already. Magnum, again, thank you so much for joining, and take care to everyone else. God bless, and everybody have a great Holy Weekend.
All right, y'all have a good one.